you guys get. The New York Times is absolute trash. You remember, I was on the freaking cover of the New York Times a couple of years ago on a Sunday. Me, Jordan Peterson, Thomas Sowell, Ben Shapiro, Milton Friedman, about how we're leading people to the alt-right. Like, the whole place is just it's just horrific trash. But they're having their own problems because not only are they just an awful propaganda network, but their employees are on strike right now. And I wanted to show you this. It's like a minute video from Fox where they started interviewing some of the New York Times employees who are very upset at the New York Times. And you'd think that a New York Times place, a good progressive organization, you'd think they'd be treating everybody great and things would be going just cheeky over there. But apparently that's not how it's working out.
What are you guys on strike about?
We've been at the bargaining table for 20 months now. The company is consistently coming into the bargaining table with proposals that are insulting and unacceptable.
The New York Times is making record profits, and the people who make the news need to share in that.
It's a variety of issues, but the big things are we haven't had a raise in over 2 years.
What are they not giving you?
They're not giving basic floor wages of $65,000.
I'll be honest, I don't know the details that specifically.
We have been working through the entire pandemic without any salary increases at a time of record inflation.
Is this about coming back to the office?
It's also about coming back to the office.
Of course, we also want to make sure that we are protecting people. You know, we're still living through a pandemic.
Remote work is part of the negotiations.
We find it ridiculous that the company is maintaining this position, that it have the unilateral right to call us back in 5 days a week.
I thought the New York Times respected unions, so what happened there?
You'll have to ask them.
That's an excellent question. I would love an answer to that as well.
Excellent question. We'd love to hear what the management has to say about that.
Yeah, it's a very good question. We thought the New York Times respected unions too.
What happens to the New York Times when you guys are on strike?
We'll find out.
We have said we're not going to write stories. We have photo people, we have electricians, other people in the building who are not working today. They have to figure it out on their own.
I am refusing to write. I'm refusing to respond to edits.
I imagine they're having quite a hard time putting the publication together.
The New York Times can't run without the people who run the New York Times. And management needs to know that.
If you guys are all on strike, who's going to write the fake news?
Well, we don't actually think that we write fake news.
What an extraordinary collection of whiny losers. Like, how else can you describe it? These people, they're so shocked that the New York Times is hypocritical, that the same paper that pushes all the stories about unions and how great unions are doesn't want to do it when it comes to its own people. And you can't believe it. The New York Times wants them to come back into the office, and these little children pretending we're still in COVID and pandemic. Everything, you all deserve everything you can get.